Okay, but like, how do people film beauty videos? I'm trying to sort of figure it out. I'm not really, I mean, it's very close to my face, but I have a mirror just here below, and I'm trying to think, if I were to have like a makeup brush. This is not a joint, by the way, it's a blender. Like, would that, how do people do this? I have no idea, but we're just trying to, this does some strange things to my coloring, depending on where I'm moving, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, if I am here and I had a makeup brush, if I could do this and like where the focal range is really. Just trying to figure out how to beauty video. I feel like there's lots of videos on like lighting setups or people's beauty desk, but no one really shows like mirror versus camera angle situation. And I think everyone has those lenses that will automatically zoom in on you, like when you move in and out. But I don't know how to do that, guys, because, oh no, the battery died. I would never snack. I just wouldn't do it. Hello there, and welcome back to Closet Historian. Today we have a side hustling update sort of video for you. I'm just going to be going over some things about 2018, a 2018 review, if you will, and then we'll talk about goals for 2019 in the next side hustling video, which will be coming very shortly. These were my goals for this week, and we're here on Wednesday, and sadly, well, it does say go see a movie on here today, and I did do that, but other than that, we're not doing well on this week's schedule, and I think that's partially just because after those, I tried doing that 2 weeks of videos challenge, which thank you guys so much for coming along on that ride, but I didn't quite make it to 14 videos like I had hoped, but I think I still got a lot of fun videos, like fun things up here on the channel. But I did manage to burn myself out a little bit, of course, because naturally at the end of the year, I think you're supposed to be kind of relaxing and taking a break and enjoying the holidays. And instead I set myself a 2-week video challenge to try and make a video every day, or put up a video every day, because I'm, well, kind of crazy. But that's to be expected if you know my pattern, which you guys probably don't yet, but we'll get into that sometime. And we'll talk a little bit about perfectionism today, because it's something I need to work on. But today we're just going to wrap up 2018 a little bit, talk about how each of my side hustles here at the end of the year are wrapping up, or a little review at the end of the year of each of my side hustles. Side hustles? I can't talk, you guys. I can't talk anymore. I've lost the ability to speak. I thought doing more videos would help with this, and instead I just fumble even more now because I'm a little bit out of it, honestly. So again, an update on the various side hustles here at the end of 2018. Again, the blog, it's not great news. Looking at in a side hustle in context, it's not great news. This is what the graph of the year looks like for the blog. So basically, the viewership has stayed the same through all of 2018. I would say about the same. There was a couple of like random days where one posted really well, but nothing spectacular. Usually those are because someone has shared the post on Facebook, and I'm actually no longer on Facebook. I've deactivated my Facebook, and I'm sure my page for Closet Historian is still up on Facebook, but I'm just not using it right now. I feel like it wasn't adding anything to my life or even that much to my quote-unquote business, so I'm not currently using Facebook, but that was actually the best place for my blog, but it just wasn't enough to actually warrant me staying. So the blog stats for the year, it stayed the same, and they're not great, and it's not growing. So again, this is not an area I should be putting much time into, but I feel obligated to keep blogging because it has been such a constant in my life for the last several years, and I feel proud of having kept up with that consistency or having stuck with it. So it's hard for me to not blog, but I probably will go down to 1 or 2 posts like a week in this year. I haven't exactly set those goals in place yet, so we'll talk about those later in the next video when I'm setting goals. This is just a review, and basically the review is nothing has changed. The blog is, well, not Instagram, you know. And as far as sewing goes, or creating my own sewing patterns, which is the ultimate goal here in this sector of the side hustle, again, I have no progress on this front, but I do want to make a concrete plan for putting things into place, things into action for doing this in 2019. And then I also want to work on sharing my sewing knowledge more here online. I kind of doing the last couple of sewing videos was a little bit of an experiment to see if that content is well received here on YouTube, and so far it definitely does a lot worse than the other things I put up. Like, let's say a haul video does all like 3 or 4 times better than a sewing like tutorial or video so far. That's the general vibe I'm getting, but that doesn't mean necessarily I won't do them, because I do think it is important. And for those of you who are interested in sewing, I would like to share that information with you. So just because they don't do as well as everything else, it's just something to be aware of for me when I'm scheduling things in the future. So sewing, it's an interesting gray area again. Now, as for YouTube here in 2018, I did get like 6,000 plus subscribers this year over the year, which is really awesome. So thank you for all of you who signed up to see more and hear me ramble on incessantly like I'm doing right now, in fact. But I really do appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel, and kind of clicking that button says to me that you want to see more of the things I make, and that does mean a ton to me. And it's kind of crazy for me to think that 6,000 people, maybe some of them were bots, hit that button this year. It's something I don't think I can't imagine losing sight of. It must be strange to have millions of people have hit that button. I don't know if you can really conceptualize that, but like for me, I imagine like 6,000 people in a room would be a large room, and I would be very nervous to speak to all of you. So it's, it kind of helps me contextualize why sometimes I'm nervous talking to you, even just in a video. But my goal for this year was to hit 10,000 subscribers, and we are around 8,000, nearing 9,000 here on the channel. So thank you guys again so much for helping me out with that goal, whether you meant to or not. It seems strange to boil everything down to numbers, but of course numbers are what matter when it comes down to like, analytics and boring businessy stuff. But I just want to learn how to share the things I know with people in the best way I can. And I feel like learning to do YouTube videos and learning how best to get that information across to people is an interesting challenge. And so it's been fun to learn more about how to do that, more about how to do video editing and all kinds of stuff. And I feel like I am improving my skills. So YouTube was really fun, and something I did a lot better at this year than I did the year before. So I'm looking forward to doing more YouTube content in the future. Now, as far as writing goes, I do have some things I should be probably allow myself to be proud of this year, which is that I wrote an entire book that I really do love. As previously discussed here on this series, I really like the book I wrote this year, so that's good. Again, I try not to feel bad about liking it, because like, if anyone should, it's me. So I wrote a book this year, and I edited it a million times, and I got beta reader feedback and edited it some more, and in my opinion, it's ready to go and out into the world. But I will have to still try and get a literary agent and publisher and all that jazz. But I wrote a book this year, so that's quite cool. I also wrote another like 60,000 words of another book and I've been having a really good time with that, and I'm looking forward looking forward to working on that into 2019 as well. And then I did make the leap and finally sent my first few query letters. The only response I've gotten from sending those first letters out is to get those 2 rejections I talked about in my last video, but I still have just not heard from the other people that I sent query letters to, whether that is because they are just not interested or because they haven't gotten to my letter yet or whatever. I don't really know, but it would be nice to get some, I think, not that I want to, spoiler alert for goals, but I think my goal would be to get personalized rejections. That would be a step forward in this. It's interesting to consider rejections, like different kinds of rejections, a step forward, but I definitely would like to be rejected more personally this year, which is going to be painful, but oh well. We'll see. I am proud of myself for making the leap and actually sending those letters and putting the intention out there. It's something I need to do more of this year, so yeah. And I'm trying to be proud of myself for having written a book and a half last year. I like to say that I have accomplished nothing. It's one of the problems in my brain that I think that I haven't gotten anywhere and I haven't done anything, because the one thing I want the most, like moving out and being financially independent, I haven't achieved, and therefore nothing else can compete with that. But the book is the one thing that I allow myself to be proud of. So gotta hold on to what you can, When I'm looking back over the past year, definitely the biggest thing I learned was that when my brain says, hey, you need to write today, I need to give into that, because if I have a strong impulse to like get writing done, like in the morning, and it's a day where I can technically set my own schedule that day. If I have other things planned, if I was planning on making a video, planning on blogging, planning on whatever, usually if I will tell myself, no, you can't do any writing today. You have to get your other things that you have planned done. And that's like good in some ways, to be disciplined and like try and stick to your schedule, even though the muse or whatever has, contacted you and said, please write today. But usually I feel like on the days when I say, okay, I'm going to stick to my schedule, stick to my plan, I can't write today, I won't even end up getting the video or blog post or whatever else done, because I'll be so distracted by having wanted to write and like some ideas still swirling around, but like it's like I feel the ideas and like the writing juices like evaporating from my brain and not being used. And so like all day I'm distracted by like the fact that I should have chosen to write. And so I get neither writing nor the other things on my schedule done. So the biggest lesson is like, if I wake up and I need to write that day, I need to put everything else aside and write that day, which is very hard because I want to get the other things done. I want to make videos for you guys. I want to do blog posts. I want to sew. I want to do other things, get laundry done. But I think like when I was at my best this year, when I was writing, like in the thick of writing, what I did was say, that's all that matters, and let myself give in to the impulse to write instead of anything else. And that's how I wrote a book this year that I'm really proud of. And so I need to give into that impulse more. So that's definitely something I have learned in 2018 and that I want to continue to do into 2019 and do even better at, not punishing myself for not getting other tasks done and getting writing done instead and focusing on writing. I think that is what makes me happiest, is writing. And so giving into the desire to write right now, that I don't really have there's not many reasons for me not to do that. Only make-believe ones that I make up myself. So there's not really there's no negative impact of me actually taking the time to sit and write, other than not getting other creative side hustle things done, which is technically bad, but only in my own head. So just allowing myself the time to write, something I both learned and need to work on from 2018. Now, something I failed to really work on or failed to overcome in 2018 was my perfectionism, which is something I have struggled with for a long time. And I think, when I was younger, it was much more physically based. I had trouble with self-esteem, and I was much more holding myself to an imagined perfect version of myself, and that version was a physical thing. I imagined this perfect thin version of me that I could be if I just could get my act together, if I could just be disciplined, then I could be this perfect. I never put someone else in this place. When it came to any of my self-esteem issues, it was always more the imagined version of a perfect version of me. What would I look like if I were a size 4 and therefore beautiful and perfect? It was much less putting a Victoria's Secret model or someone else in that slot that I wanted to look like. I wanted to look like the imagined perfect version of me. That was what taunted me back when I had issues with like body image, and that was what I was holding myself to. That was the idea of perfection that I was trying to achieve. Luckily, I broke out of that place, and I do want to make a video kind of about that process or like experience as well sometime, because I am really glad that I'm no longer in that place where I am hating myself over my body and my physical appearance, because like being able to move beyond that has meant I could, torture myself about being not perfect in other areas, which is what I'm trying to say here, is that basically that idea of being perfect just migrated from something physical into something more like mental or work-based, where now I feel like if I'm not perfectly productive all the time, or I'm not achieving perfection in my work, that is where I'm allowed to beat myself up. And so that's something I need to work on in 2019, and have learned, again, is still hanging around. That's one of the lessons from 2018, that I definitely still do have problems with negative self-talk, especially when it comes to like not meeting goals, which may or may not be realistic, for my work mostly. And I think that is tied into like wishing still not being financially independent at my age, and like still wishing like up for that above anything else. And so anytime I don't hit my goals, or like waste any time, which I would consider relaxing and sleeping and things like that, wasting time, it's not getting me towards that goal of financial independence. And I hate that it's money that's driving me in that way, or at least driving me to be negative on myself in that way, but it is. So I just, something to work on moving forward, and something I definitely noticed about myself in 2018 is that I still am definitely driving for this level of perfection that is probably not possible, and is definitely not something I need to be beating myself up for, because like the world will beat you down, kids. You don't need to beat yourself down too. So if you have problems with negative self-talk, I really hope that you can kind of confront those, and realize that like the only, like your best friend that you're going to be with forever is you. And so like if you are mean to you, like you would never say, it's so true, like that, what they say, like you would never say these things to a friend, and like you would never allow anyone else to say them to your friends. So like why do you allow yourself to say them to yourself? And so you just gotta cut it out, but it's not easy. So something else for me to work on moving forward here. I'll link a video below from Rosiana Rojas about the sort of self-induced burnout that she has experienced, and I think I related to that video. Super hardcore, everything she said. I was like, yes, me. Or like, conversely also, I feel personally attacked by this, because I agree with everything you're saying. But I'll link that video below, because I really resonated with a lot of what she was saying, because in 2018, I still struggled with a lot of making myself stressed over deadlines and goals that I had set myself that were probably unrealistic to start with. So I was making myself extremely stressed out. My boss was stressing me out, but I was my boss. So it's kind of an odd thing to do to yourself, that if you were working for yourself, to put that much pressure on you as an employee. It's a little bit rude, and it's something I guess probably all self-employed people have to either deal with, like one side of this where their quote-unquote boss is working them too hard or not hard enough. I think the balance for self-employment is always like a teeter-totter of needing to be figured out and balanced. So that's definitely something I have not worked out, and I don't even make any money for myself yet. So goodness, I really need to work that one out before I start getting even more numbers involved. I wrote a blog post about this recently where I listed some of the like true facts about how my brain tends to work, which are things like that I think if I'm not being visibly productive, like all the time, that I am viewed by others as lazy and a waste of resources, which, check, that's like a millennial check mark. Are you a millennial? You probably feel this way sometimes. And I think that like, unless I am indeed working constantly on my various side hustles, that I indeed should be considered a lazy waste of space. So that's kind of a causation situation going on there, check. I think that if I take or need a break, that I must not really want it enough. Like if you really want it, you'll work hard. And like I think my brain needs there to be a comma until you like burn out, or until you need a rest, which also helps. Like I just see that if I'm not constantly working very hard, I need to either A, feel guilty about that, or B, I must not want it enough. But it turns out like rest and breaks and recharging are probably important, especially in creative work too. I don't know. I still struggle with this one for sure. Check. I do not give myself leeway or praise. I do not celebrate any of my successes or any of my accomplishments or growth. Like I see it all as not enough, for sure. Like you wrote a book this year, that's not enough. You need to get it published. You know, how you grew some of your YouTube channel this year. Well, it's not enough to actually help with pay your student loan, so it's not enough. Nothing is ever enough, and I worry that even if I were to reach the levels of success that are my goals now, that it still won't be enough then, and that nothing will ever be enough. And so I should nip this sort of thinking in the bud now before, I even achieve the levels of success that I hopefully want to get to. But if it's never going to be enough, then something's wrong with me as opposed to the goals in general. So that's something I will have to look into. Possibly need to hire a professional to help me out with. Now, because I have been really quite busy making lots of videos recently, instead of thinking through 2018 and looking towards 2019 and actually setting any goals or really reviewing my progress or what kind of things I want to set in place for this next year, I haven't really done a lot of goal setting or stratagem or idea building or anything like that yet. So that is not going to be in this video. That will be in the next Side Hustling video, which will be my 2019 goals. Hopefully I will have that video up soon because, it is January. You want to have those sort of goal setting resolution sort of things kind of set in place here at the beginning of the year. So I will try and get that one up soon for you. Not that you are waiting for my goals, but it's important for me in some ways to be logging this sort of experience. And I think it helps me to release these ideas into the ether, even if I am just talking to myself, even though I know you guys are here, so thank you. It helps me to have these on paper, as it were, or in stone on YouTube to kind of force me into doing things that actually did work quite well. When I told myself that I was going to query in the next Side Hustling, well, I had to send out queries, otherwise I was going to have to go back on what I said in that video. So sometimes it's good to release things into the universe to help you get them done. So hopefully that will work again, and I will have that 2019 goals video out for you guys soon. Thank you guys, as always, for sticking around and for coming with me on this Side Hustling journey. Hopefully we will have more to report soon, and hopefully we'll have lots of nice 2019 goals that we can reach this year all together here on Side Hustling. And thank you for sticking around. I'll see you again real soon.